Welcome, everybody, to episode 69 of Two Goalies, One Mic. I am Duane, your host, with the most. Let's all take a second before I introduce my co-host for the day. Let's us all take a second to just laugh our asses off at the Philadelphia Flyers. I am joined with Sean Warren from the Point Shot podcast, very good friend of the program. Has been on quite a few times out of Vancouver. Sean, how many times have we talked about, mock trades between us and Vancouver, you guys, for Ristolainen, and it always ends in a joke?
I know. I was just going to say, I wouldn't even want to trade like a fourth for Risto.
Oh my God. This is insane. Look at the comment section. Nice. Joy to say hi to Sean. Oh, I love to see it. Big news. It is big news. Oh, buddy, is Fletcher now worse than Benning? He might be. Yeah. He might be. Guys, this is insanity. I would have been happy with a second round pick.
Oh,
but
yeah.
The first. I mean, who gives a shit about Robert Hagg? That guy's essentially the same guy. He just cost. They took on his entire contract, $5.4 million. I'm assuming this was nothing retained. Not only did you get a cheaper version of Ristolainen, who, in my opinion, is probably better in his own end. Let's be real. I think he's better in his own end.
He is.
And you get the 13th overall pick and a 2022 second round pick. Are you kidding me? Oh my God.
I wish that I could be a fly on the wall for the negotiations that happened. Because where do you even get to this? Well, like, how do you, if you're the Flyers, at what point do you just hang up the phone? Because that would have been like nine calls ago on this one. Like, I just love the report that Buffalo was going around telling people that if they didn't have a top 20 pick at this draft, that they didn't have a big enough offer for Ristolainen. I was like, wait, what? How many teams were in on this? So, like, what happens to Seth Jones? What happens,
dude? His value, they should be literally salivating right now at the potential of trading Seth Jones, because his value just went through the roof.
Like, there isn't a draft pick high enough in value to equal Seth Jones right now, according to the Ristolainen trade.
I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to try and bring it up right now. A tweet just recently, I think it was from Elliot Freeman, it was Darren Drager. I apologize. I'll read it real quick right here for you guys. If you just give me a moment to collect myself, because I just still cannot I cannot believe that that happened. That happened, guys. That happened. He's gone. Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
People are sharing the gift
Hallelujah. 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 Oh my God.
People are sharing the gif of the puck being rung around the boards and Risto just falling and losing his stick. And it's just like the entire thread of the Flyers announcement is just this gif like a bunch of times.
Right. This is wild, right? Like, this is insanity. Darren Drager reported this morning on the Instigators, our local our 2-hour show here from 10 to 12 with Andrew Peters, Craig Rivet, and Marty Barani, reported that, with Jack Eichel, don't be surprised if you see a team out of the East get really, really high on Eichel here, like a surprise team. And one of the teams was Philadelphia, was speculated. If they're making that deal for Rasmus Ristolainen, by all means, come home to daddy. Let's go. Let's do some. You're giving me that for oh yeah, let's go. What's your first round pick in next year's draft looking like? That one following that? Who else is on the table? Let's go. Fire me up.
They're gonna give you friggin' Giroux and 5 firsts if that's the price tag right now.
like how do you even justify that return as the Flyers GM?
Can't.
How is that justified? You can't justify that.
No.
Oh my God.
Even worse. Okay, look at the stuff that they sent out in the last 2 days and what they got back. So they've sent out Shane Gostisbehere, Robert Hagg, a first being 13th overall, 2 second-round picks, and a 7th. And all they've got back to show for it is Rasmus Ristolainen.
And cap space. Like, yeah, cap space. No, they don't have cap space, so they still got
not anymore.
It
was all for Risto. All of it.
Like, that's wild, man. You're a Flyers fan. You're seeing those deals go down. It's like, oh yeah, we're freeing up cap space for somebody, right? Seth Jones, who is it? Even though they just picked up Ryan Ellis, like a phenomenal defenseman, but like you're thinking bigger, better things when you free up even more cap space when you get Gostisbehere off your books. Nope. Nope.
I just want to see them like saddle poor Ryan Ellis with Rasmus Ristolainen now. And
oh my God!
At that point, just keep Ghost. Ghost is a better defenseman
I know,
than anybody else.
And he's younger and he's cheaper. I mean, granted, the contract is longer, but like, that's just wild to me, man. That's wild. Like, how is that even possible? Like, how do you get to that? Dude, just like, what?
I don't know.
I'm not trying to bring up the tweet. I know I just here. Right here it is. Give me a second here. I'll bring it up for you folks. Yeah. Tweet just now from Darren Drager. It reads as follows. Lots of attention being paid to the New York Rangers, Minnesota, Anaheim, and Los Angeles as potential fits for Jack Eichel. Some rumblings Montreal could be in the mix for the Star Center. Let me tell you, man, like that return, granted, it's a defenseman, this is a center, but everything affects one another. Shit all rolls downhill, right? So this affects affects the returns that you're going to get for Sam Reinhart and Jack Eichel.
I got to say,
Kevin Adams looks like an absolute genius right now.
Yeah. Well, and Sam Ventura is the greatest hire the Buffalo Sabres have ever made.
He's an analytic genius. Analytic genius. Right?
He comes in and immediately you move Risto for this return. Like, think about it. You got more for Ristolainen than you got for Taylor Hall.
Oh, my God. Right?
They paid more for Ristolainen than they gave up for Ryan Ellis.
That's like I'm sorry. Hold on. It's just wild. Like
I don't understand.
I'm glad that repeated through the thing. I'm just play a double duty here. I don't have a producer, so I'm trying to produce the show while multitasking, talking with you guys. This is I don't know, Sean. Where do you have to think 13th overall is getting flipped, right? It's getting flipped. They're gonna try. Immediately. I'm thinking Anaheim.
Yeah. For what are you eyeing up in Anaheim for 13th?
Could Reinhart and 13th get you 3rd overall? I think Reinhart alone should get you 3rd overall.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know if I would. I'd be. Yeah, 3rd would be better. Like I'm just thinking with this draft, it's so weird, right? Like I don't think I've ever seen really a true consensus from anybody, even Bob, for what the top 10 look like, right? So being
agreed.
For us as in Vancouver, we've got the 9th overall. And I'm happy with 9th because I know that a good player is going to slide to me. I kind of have like a tier of 9 players that I think are going to be really, really good. And then there's a drop off, right?
Yeah.
So for 13th to get like another pick in that top 9, that's pretty solid, man.
You constantly heard that they're big on Eklund. He had a great year this past season. A lot of people are high on him. I'm high on him. I'm taking Power consensus 1st overall pick for me, especially after we had him last week on it first episode cool 68. Yeah. Right. Like I was just extremely excited about that. And just he seems so poised, so focused and confident in himself. And he knows what he wants to do. He knows that he wants to go back to school. Which I agree with. I agree with Owen going back to Michigan. Go win a national championship. Why rush him into a situation like this? Even though things are looking like they're going to be on the up and up, Like, nope, do not want. I agree. I don't want Eichel in the Eastern Conference either. I agree. I don't want to have to deal with him. Nobody does.
I mean, you would if it was like a Philly special return.
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting that Philly special,
hey, you're buying a
Philly
Flyers
special,
Eichel jersey.
Philly special 2.0, not brought to you by Nick Foles. Oh my God. God, Jesus Christ. The golden point. Let's just get these comments in here. Just shot a pisser of a quote. No chance Reinhart gets third overall. He's 1 year away from UFA. But yeah, you have his right. You can do a sign and trade. 100% you can do a sign and trade. He's technically going to be an RFA. Right?
Well, and look at the return Risto got. I think GMs are drunk right now.
Yeah.
Because that's ridiculous. Like, if there was that many people calling for Risto, that the price got jacked up to that, holy, like,
I don't want Eichel gone, period. Neither do I. He's my
nobody wants Eichel out of
nobody.
Buffalo.
For 1 year, Reinhart is worth. I agree, 100%. If 1 year of Rasmus Ristolainen is getting you the 13th overall pick, there's no reason Sam Reinhart alone can't get you third overall. This is my opinion. I personally have been saying for a while. I think you just really break hockey Twitter just all together. You package Eichel and Sam together to Anaheim, and you come out of that with third overall, Drysdale and Zegras with the 13th overall pick. I mean, you're a better team, right? You are not. Are you not
for the future?
Much of a better hockey team making that trade if you're Anaheim.
I wonder though if that would actually give you less assets back than what you would if you split them up in two trades.
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. Well, now this really makes things interesting. This return for Ristolainen. Yeah, it really does, man. It's just
because there's not a lot of teams that could take both, right? Anaheim, is one of them that could.
Well, you'd have to take on a contract.
Both. You'd have to take on a contract. So then you'd want an asset to just balance out the contract. I'd be looking. To me, if I'm Buffalo, I'm sticking
Max Jones too. Max Jones is the guy that's been on off on the table there too.
Yeah, Troy Terry.
Yeah,
they've got a few different options. I'd be eyeing up those picks though. If they're to me, if you're a team that's trading for Jack Eichel, you're not planning on having very high first rounders for a while, right? Your plan is that you would then be doing much better and be
if you're acquiring Eichel, you plan on being good for a while.
So you're not going to be worried about moving a few first rounders for Jack Eichel if you're in the market for him, right?
Right, exactly.
So I don't know. If I'm Buffalo, I'm taking multiple firsts. I'm trying to take one of Drysdale or Zegras.
Personally, I'm doing everything I can to get into that first round next season and the following season after that, man, because those are the drafts you want to be drafting.
Those are the big ones. Yeah. This draft doesn't really matter too much. It's next year and the year after that really do matter. It's the Shane Wright draft. It's the Connor Bedard, Matvei Michkov
Connor Bedard
draft.
So good, dude. The next coming of McDavid, right?
He's so sick, man. He's so sick. And
oh
Michkov is just as good. He's right there, right?
Yeah. Teams get crazy around right-handed defense.
I don't know, man.
This hasn't suddenly altered the trademark. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I mean,
see, to me,
does he still want that ride to Philly? Because I'll give it to him.
I'm excited as a Canuck fan watching a potential market for Nate Schmidt. Nate Schmidt is a better defenseman than Ristolainen. He plays both sides. The knock on Schmidt is that he's actually left-handed, but he can play both sides. So I don't know. He had a down year in Vancouver, but who didn't?
Yeah, everybody did. Same thing here in Buffalo, man. Nobody had a good year in Buffalo.
No, and I mean, if Risto can be excused for having bad years for his entire career, Schmidt can have 1 year excused of playing on the weakest team in the North. So that's
I agree. It's this is wild. This is unprecedented. I shouldn't say unprecedented, but I still can't get over that return.
Chiarelli bad. This is Peter Chiarelli.
Yeah, this is
worse.
Really, really bad.
This is worse than I want to make
Fletcher
a
worse
mock.
than Benny now? I mean, you're drunk already? I'm drunk already. Who's drunk already? Me? Is he talking to me? Is Malcolm talking to me? No, I'm not drunk already. I'm not. I am.
I think
sober
he's probably
as a
talking
judge.
to me.
I say I'm sober as a judge
because I'm getting high on my own supply with the Nate Schmidt talk. Yeah, I don't know, man. This is so weird. I want to have like a mock, like an anti-awards ceremony, and have like a Peter Chiarelli award to hand out every year.
Yeah.
And this year, like Chuck Fletcher is putting out a staggering lead on everybody else. Like I don't know if anybody could catch him. He's it's been that bad of a week for Chuck.
And here we had a comment where you'd say, I don't think they're keeping that pick. I think they're flipping it. I really, really do. There's just been too much smoke about this with Eklund, about them wanting to acquire him. I really think this is part of something bigger. I do. I think the pick is part of something a lot bigger. 100%.
You don't think that they take Eklund first overall and then they jump in and take, LaSalle or something with 13th?
I think Power's the guy. I think you've gone such a long time. You probably haven't had a really high IQ defenseman in Buffalo probably since the days you had like Hank Tallinder and Tony Ludman. We've been really missing that piece on our blue line, and there's nothing wrong. I mean, yeah, I get it. Maybe Owen Power isn't going to be like a 70-point defenseman like you want on your blue line, like you hope what Dahlin will develop to be. Mm-hmm. But you want to know what, man? If I'm getting a defensive version of Victor Hedman, who'll still give me 30 to 40 points a season, I'll take that all day at first overall, because every team needs that guy. Look at the team Chicago had when they were winning cups, dude. Brian Campbell was their third pairing defenseman.
I know.
Like, they were so good.
Teams were ridiculous. Yeah,
they were so good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with building out from your blue line too, man. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, man. You want to be hard to play against in your own end. Like, you don't want to. Like, that's what Owen Power is.
From the blue line out. Because the draft is the best way to acquire that kind of D-man, because they're not available on the trade market, and if they are, as evidenced today, they cost way too much. So, Owen Power is a great pick. I just have seen a lot of the Eklund stuff as well for Buffalo, and it's like, if it's a difference of, they maybe have Eklund as number 2 or as a 1A, 1B with Owen Power. I mean, at that point, do you just take the guy that you like the best? Eklund's a hell of a talent. But it's going to be interesting. Like, I've even seen drafts where Eklund slides all the way down to the Canucks. And I was like, oh my God, if we got Eklund at 9, I'm like,
I don't think he makes it past 5. I really don't think he makes it past 5. Yeah.
I don't think he makes it past 3, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't, I don't see it, man. I don't see him making it past 5. No way.
I've got Power, Beniers, and Eklund as my top 3. Pick your order, kind of 100%.
Idea. I just think if you don't take Owen Power, you're making a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Is there any chance it's Beniers, especially with Eichel and Reinhart? No, I think you're gonna get your centerman back in both those trades. I mean, I really do. I think that's where you're gonna get your centerman back. If that you're gonna get
your Zegras, you're gonna get whatever.
You're gonna get your guys back in that trade. I really think Power is the pick at 1.
Yeah.
Like I said, I love Eklund, but if you have an opportunity before you watch the draft tonight, try and find as much highlight of his play at the World Championships. That's all you need to see, because that guy was logging 25 plus minutes as a 19-year-old defenseman playing with NHL hockey players, and he was their go-to guy. They won the whole thing, and just for me, that's all I needed to see out of Owen Power. Like, the fact that they had that much confidence in him, and he was still able to play with that type of swagger and have that much confidence in himself, makes me that much more excited.
Such a weird year.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
That he was able to take that step and be, an NHL caliber player. After a season like this with very little playing time, I was very impressed with Owen Power out of that tournament.
100%, and
very impressed.
There's one thing you can't teach, man, and he has unbelievable boots on him. He is an immaculate skater. That's not a secret. One thing you can't teach is size. He is a big guy, man. He is a man child. He is 6'6", 240, somewhere around there.
He's a big boy.
He's gonna get bigger. He's gonna put on more size, and you just can't teach that in players these days. You can't. To have that type of ability, skating ability with that kind of size, that right there is, after the fact that, pretty much anywhere he's played over the last couple of years, he's always the smartest guy on the ice. After that, that's another reason why I'm taking him F1 is because he's just a monster. He's already a monster, and he is a phenomenal skater. You can't teach those two things. You just can't.
And you hit it on the head. The coupling of the physical tools to be able to do it, but the cerebral, how he's able to think the game, that he's able to think it at such a high level.
Yep.
That to me is way more exciting than his physical tools. The fact that he has those physical tools just makes him that more dangerous. Like you said, you can't teach size. There's not a lot of it anymore. But for this comment, I'm not too worried about the lack of physicality at his size. It's
not always about hitting,
right?
It's not always about hitting. It's about using that size that you have. Like look at
the right spots.
Yeah, look at a lot of the bigger players in the NHL. Like is Chara always the heaviest hitter on the ice? No, but he knows how to use his size to his advantage. His reach, his wingspan, his ability to protect pucks, keep pucks out of your reach. Like you said, find those spots, those areas. He takes up a lot of ice. Takes up a lot of ice. That just goes along with the size.
Working your angles well, being able to use that leverage that you have.
Mm-hmm. It's just
like Chara. For Chara, for that example, it took him a long time, right, to be able to really work into his frame. Yeah, they gave up on him on the island too, right? Like two teams gave up on him before he became what he became in Boston, and it took him a long time to really fill into his frame, get used to that, be able to use it to his advantage. A lot of these kids are coming in like power at his size and his build, and they're able to use that right away almost. I like his idea, or I like his decision to go back to Michigan. I think that's a really smart move as well.
Personally, it's like, you're going to gain a lot more experience, and it's going to be better for your development because you're going to contend immediately for a national championship. They're returning such a good team over there to Michigan because you would assume Beniers is going to go back. You would assume Johnson's going back. To bring those three guys back, you're immediately contending for a national championship, and it's just going to go a long way for his development. You go from winning a world championship to going to win a national championship, or at least contending for it.
It brings a lot of that pedigree forward as well. It takes a lot to learn how to win too, and learn how to win with great players. Yeah,
we haven't won Jack in over a decade, man. Like, it's a difficult thing to always show up to the rink and lose. Ryan O'Reilly said it. I know it's a sore subject, but when you constantly lose, you show up to the rink, and it's no longer a love for the game. It's a job. It's just a job that you just hate coming to. Like, we've all been there. No, not everybody loves their job. Like, you hate coming to work, man. It just becomes a vicious cycle of just suck. And that's what this organization, it's been a vicious cycle of suck. I think that's the best way of putting it, for this franchise over the last decade. And maybe this is the tide's turning, and I'm excited. I would have never dreamed in a million years that we would have gotten
13th overall, a second, and Hagg.
If you would have told me, if I would have opened my phone today and saw that we traded Ristolainen for just a second, I'm just like, hell yeah, let's go. Fire me up. That's good. Awesome. But a first, a second, and a guy who's essentially the same guy, but probably a little bit better in his own end.
I know. Honestly, if somebody pitched that as like a GM, armchair GM mock trade, it would have got laughed out of the park, right? Like, everybody would have been like, no, that's ridiculous. Why are you so high on Ristolainen?
You offer that on show. They laugh you out of the, the game ejects itself out of the council and says, yeah, you've had enough, man.
Falls out, breaks in two. No, absolutely not.
Like, it's just, no, we're good. You've had enough, buddy. I still can't believe. I can't believe that is. I mean, I'm looking at a highlight video right now of of the Matthew Barzal goal where Ristolainen fell over himself.
Honestly, if you're doing nothing else today, if you do nothing else, go to the Flyers tweet announcing the trade and just comb the comments because
it's phenomenal.
It's
so funny,
incredible.
It's like looking in a mirror, man. It's like looking in absolutely like looking in a mirror. It's just like that's us. That's us complaining every time the Sabres tweet anything.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it is just like.
Yep. This is amazing.
Oh my God, we're gonna have Ty B join us here in a second because he has some things to say. Another guy from Trainwreck, another hops in as a co-host here every once in a while. But before he hops in too, because I want to get his thoughts. The expansion draft, waste of time last night, right? Outside of the Marshawn Lynch comments, absolute waste of time.
It was brutal.
We knew all the. I love it how they opened it up like, a lot of big names on the board. We already know who's going. What are you talking about?
And we know that you take like none of the big names. Yeah, like none of them.
Who was it? Not like that's like, but like you know what I mean? Like it's
what
just like
terrible draft.
We
watched it.
We've already seen all the picks. Sorry.
Yeah, we did a watch party for it on Area 51 because we were like, there's gonna be trades for sure. Because look at how bad this team is. They're going to make trades 100%. And then they didn't announce any trades. And then after the fact, they're like, oh, we'll announce the trades tomorrow after the roster freeze. And they made one trade, dude. One. like one.
Oh, what? My God. It's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, this probably is the worst trade I've seen in 10 years.
It is, man. This is
it's amazing. Amazing.
This is the worst. This is probably the worst trade I've seen since the O'Reilly trade.
Yeah,
the O'Reilly trade was bad. Like at the time, some fans were excited about it because like Berglund was a very serviceable like centerman.
Tage Thompson had some promise to him.
Tage Thompson, you'd hope have some promise, and then you were getting a pick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a.
And then he immediately goes off and wins one of these guys.
That's what made it terrible.
And then,
that right there.
And one of these guys too. Yeah.
Yeah. That right there is what made that trade as bad as it was because it was just. I hate thinking back about it. I hate
that's
it.
A painful memory. Yeah.
I don't know, man. And then, but yeah, the expansion draft last night was just not last night. I'm sorry. But it was just a waste of time. I don't like. I hate the fact that you took away a lot of the suspense, the drama behind it, and then some of the antics were cool, like the scenery around the stage was cool.
That was cool.
Marshawn Lynch coming up there. I hated the
Bird.
shots at some of the teams, like obviously Buffalo. The shots taken at Buffalo, like that was unnecessary. Like we're one of the biggest hockey markets in terms of viewing, and you're just taking shots on us already.
Yeah, that's a team that's not even going to be your rival. They threw some shots at Vancouver there, which was to be expected. They're their division rival, nearest geographic rival. So I expected to see some of that. But
I did too. I just so what is your as we sit here and wait for Ty, predictions obviously, for being obviously out of Vancouver, you're sitting at 8. Is it 8 or 9?
9.
9.
Yeah.
What are you predicting for you guys at 9? What do you hope to see?
I think we take Kent Johnson. That's who I think. I've seen kind of a rumored or in order list of the defensemen that they like, and that worries me because it was like Luke Hughes number 1, Simon Edvinsson number 2, number 3 Brandt Clark. Brandt Clark's obviously the guy that we need out of the 3. But I think we take Kent Johnson. I think those other 3 guys are gone before we pick. We end up with the Vancouver boy. And honestly, he wants to be a Canuck so bad. So I like it. I like that pick. I just hope we don't trade it. I've seen some rumors that Vancouver is very aggressively big game shopping right now, looking for something to move 9th overall for. And I'm not a fan of that idea. No. I can't think of too many players that I'd be willing to move for just like pure draft pick for player. So yeah, not too thrilled about that idea.
Yeah.
Oh,
we're We're
He's
joined
feeding
by
me
the
on the
mustache
mustache.
himself, Ty B, on the
Yeah.
Trainwreck Sports Crossing Swords podcast. Remember, everybody, this is brought to you by Outlet Liquor, the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? Ty, I'm just going to give the stage to you, buddy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't ask for anything more to start draft day other than getting rid of Rasmus Ristolainen for basically like cheaper Rasmus Ristolainen that you can just play on the PK third line time. I mean, even healthy scratch him if you gotta. He's basically the same player. He gets himself into trouble trying to make some hits just like Rasmus Ristolainen does. Not a great passer, not anything offensively there. You can't really use him on the power play. Like Risto was the guy in front sometimes. I don't understand that. So we won't be seeing any of that from Robert Hagg, but getting that first round pick and a second round pick in the future is a huge, huge upgrade for the Sabres from, keeping Rasmus Ristolainen here. He's just hurting the team. You might as well get rid of him. Gives you more money to spend, plus two potential guys who could be NHL players down the line, Duane. I think that's exactly what you wanted from a trade out of Kevin Adams if he was going to wait this long.
I agree, man. What's even funnier to me is me and Sean were talking about it earlier, is that they went and they got rid of Gostisbehere, the whole deal with Arizona. They're freeing up cap space, and as a Flyers fan, you're probably thinking, well, they're getting ready to make a bigger move. And then they take on Ristolainen's contract, give up a first, a second, and a guy who honestly is probably better in his own end than Ristolainen, and they take on that contract. And we retain nothing from Ristolainen, as far as I'm aware. Like there's no salary retention at all.
No, I'm calling him back on any player that's ever available ever again. First team I'm calling is Philadelphia.
Right?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, they're the new Edmonton Oilers. Yeah,
that's hands down the worst trade I've seen since O'Reilly. 100%. Like, am I wrong?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, that's got to be the worst trade I've seen since Ryan O'Reilly was dealt. And we don't like to talk about that.
I mean, the Duncan Keith trade was pretty stupid, but
yes, it was. But this somehow is even worse.
Imagine if you're Connor McDavid though, and you show up to training camp and the team's like, "Oh, we helped our defense," and Duncan Keith and then Rasmus Ristolainen walk in, like, I would leave immediately.
Oh my goodness, I'm out.
Like, what did you give up for this? Everything. Yeah,
it's been fun. Yeah. When can I get out? Can you guys buy out my contract?
It would be the same exact thing that's happening with Jack Eichel right now. It's just like, it's so funny, like how their situations have been kind of mirrored in the league, where like they are so good and they continue to get so much better, and the rest of their team just falls off, just continues to lag. After the team makes move after move after move, like just can't find nothing, can't sustain anything. We saw the Oilers get a little bit of success, but what did they get with that? Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Well, and they had a little bit of success and then traded a lot of their key pieces away, right? Like immediately after they trade Hall and Eberle, like, and then they never have success ever again. They haven't won a single playoff game since that.
Yeah, they got swept the one time they made it.
So
here's a question too. I know we posed this before, but now you're here, Ty. What does this do to the trade market? I know it's just Rasmus, just a line. I know there's a lot of other bigger names out there that are available. Obviously, Eichel and Reinhart. Does this affect the trade market at all, or is this just a one-off? Like, I mean, you have to think that if you're basing off the value of the player and what the return is, that the return for Eichel and Sam Reinhart just went up.
No, because they're completely opposite positions.
Yeah,
like we were talking about defenders. So like if the premium price is being paid on right-handed defensemen because there's not many to be had out there in the trade market, it's a completely different thing. So it has, not
a lot of centers either.
It has no issues. So yeah, there's no centers. I think it doesn't affect their trade value though. It doesn't make it go up or down because we got more for a defenseman. I think the price should already be way higher for Jack Eichel than people have been speculating the entire time on Twitter. I laugh all the time when I see the stuff from Rangers fans.
Oh, the Rangers, they're all high, man.
I wish I was smoking what they're smoking, drinking what they're drinking, because I would be having the time of my life too. I'd be like, the Sabres are going to get 10 picks in the first round, and the next 10 first round picks from every team, whoever wants Jack Eichel. Like, no, it's not going to happen. Like, you got to be realistic. You're going to get a lot for him, but like, holy shit, these Rangers fans are delusional.
Rangers fans seem to think that Capo Caco is completely untouchable, and I don't understand why. Like, he might end up,
or they throw him in and like Capo Caco and a third round pick for Jack Eichel. I'm like, Caco hasn't done anything in the league. Like, Jack Eichel came in
points in almost 120 games.
Yeah,
he's in 2 seasons. He doesn't even have. He hasn't even totaled Jack Eichel's rookie season.
Yeah, and they're talking about Lafreniere being untouchable too. I don't even want to touch him. Like, what do you mean? The kid barely could do anything. He got his first goal of the season against the Sabres. I think he had another 1 or 2 against them. That doesn't prove anything to me. Most of the season he was invisible.
Price starts at Lafreniere. Like, that's the very beginning. Like, that's the call doesn't even continue until you have Lafreniere in the trade. Like, if they're thinking Kako could be a centerpiece and then you add pieces around him, like that's hilarious, man. It'd be Kako, Lafreniere, and multiple picks. Like, yeah, that's kind of what we're talking here.
You guys, I'm sure some of you might be, or those watching or listening, I'm sure you guys are familiar with the urinating tree, the YouTube channel or whatever. He just sent me a text. Congratulations on fleecing the Flyers for Risto. That is unbelievable. And he's a huge Pittsburgh fan, so he has to be loving this right now.
He gets to watch Crosby walk Risto in a interstate battle now for the next however long. That's fantastic. How much you want to bet they extend Risto now? Because you don't trade all that for 1 year, like just the rest of Risto's term, right? Like, you've got
you have to extend him. And then does Risto ask for as much or more money as he was already making? Like, you don't downgrade.
Not after you see what they just gave up for you.
Oh no, they got to value you to some degree.
Yeah, they're not trading a first, a second, and a player for you to then have you take a pay cut, right? Like, amazing stuff.
This makes me more excited for what's to come for the rest of the day, right?
I think the Reinhardt Hall might come today, and it might be a big one. I don't know if we're going to see Eichel get done, just because I think as we're hearing more teams like, oh, this team's in more, this team's further in, like, more teams are going to dive deeper. They're going to, put more on the table. As they put more on the table, that's when, Jack's been skating. He's been doing all this stuff. He's looking all right either way. But now we can start giving you that medical information. And then you got 3 to 4 teams who are kind of going through it. And it's going to take them more than a few hours to go through it. Something you're going to want your medical team to really take a deep dive into and make sure everything's okay. So that, that process is going to take probably half a day to, 24 hours or so, where everyone gets on the same page on that throughout the organization before you're ready to pull the trigger, because it's going to be a absolute blockbuster deal when it happens. We've seen guys kind of get moved in situations like this before, Joe Thornton, Tyler Seguin, and most of the time it's kind of been like a 1-for-1, like main off. But like here, I don't think you're going to see that. I think it's going to be a big prospect deal, because no one's really going to want to get rid of a top 6 center in the deal to get a top 6 center.
No, I agree.
And I mean, there'd be no reason for Buffalo to be wanting to get, a similar player or whatever top 6.
No, and I don't think you're going to get like a 23, 24-year-old center, like a younger guy. Like, you're not going and getting Matthew Barzal.
No. I mean, it was you're definitely getting a guy in the age range of like, a 20 to a 23-year-old, a guy who,
is still a prospect.
But your picks are going to be coming along the way. Like a Trevor Zegras and an Eichel trade is in my opinion, a very realistic return. Like, that's the age, that's the type of player you're looking at, in my opinion.
Well, and then the other thing too is, like you said, with the medical and all that type of stuff, I could see it happening more towards the end of the buyout window as well, for the cap space portion, because there's going to be a lot. If you're giving up pure futures for the most part for Jack Eichel, and what's the appetite for Buffalo to take on too much bad salary back if you're giving up Jack Eichel? Teams are going to have to maneuver things cap-wise as well. So they're going to have to clear things out if they haven't already, like Minnesota has, right?
That's a great point, though, because you can also bump up the return you're getting if you're Buffalo by taking on some money as well, which is something we could see. And I mean, we sort of did see that with that Ryan O'Reilly trade, albeit you were hoping Berglund was still going to be better than he was, rather than just being a throwaway. But
and just leave.
we could see
he
that
just kind of
happening.
left. He just never. He just never. He just kind of left. Like, I'm out of here.
Told the team he was sick, and then he just vanishing.
I remember all the reports about all the Swedish kids like all hanging out with him. They were like calling him the Swedish Mafia. Like, it was Berglund, I think Saboka, Dali, and just the rest of the Swedish prospects, just like out, like kind of taking his lead, and then he just left. It's like, I'm out of here.
He's like, no, this isn't fun. I'm out.
He's somewhere selling. He's somewhere selling T-shirts with Ville Laino. Who's really to blame? Who's really to blame for all of this? I still blame it all on Ville Laino.
I mean, he solely pretty much put the Sabres out of the playoffs in that last appearance. So you're not wrong. And then they signed him. And
then it all went downhill from there. Overpaid him because you couldn't sign Brad Richards, and the rest is history. I know.
I've never believed in the if you can't beat them, join them thing. Like with teams going and acquiring the guy that kills them. Like you end up way overpaying for this guy because you have such an inflated view of that guy. Mm-hmm. Like Canucks did the same thing with Michael Furland, right? Like years later, when there's so many question marks about his injury history, nobody wants to touch him because of his injuries. Canucks are like, oh, we'll pony up. Here's $4 million or $3.5 million for 4 years. And I mean, he has played like 10 games for us, and he's been on IR. So yeah, and he's probably never playing again. So like, you just don't ever do it. Don't do if you can't beat him, just leave him alone.
Just leave him alone. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. One guy that used to always kill us for me, I hated playing against him, was always Daniel Alfredson. He was an absolute saber killer for a long time, man. He was the worst.
Yeah,
I was happy when he retired, man, because it didn't matter. That guy could be going through like the worst cold streak in the NHL, like just be playing terrible. He comes to Buffalo and he'd have 3 points. It's a given, 3 points. No way. Like him and Spezza, like it was just the worst. I couldn't stand playing against him, just him specifically. But predictions here, guys. I don't think they use 13 overall. I think this is going to be a part of a bigger deal. I personally I think there's a lot of smoke around Eklund. I think they want to get back in the top 5. I think it's almost a lock that they take Power at 1. I think after his play at the World Championships, there's, that really solidified him for me, at least being the first overall pick. But I think they really want to try and get back into the first, higher back into the first round to get to be able to have the opportunity to draft Eklund.
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible. I mean, I don't know what that package looks like to move up that much this year. If you're moving, 13, a couple other things, I don't know. Maybe it's a part of a package with Reinhart. You get, 5 or 3 or something like that, and you get some other stuff with it. Maybe I could see that, but I don't know what it would look like outside of that moving up there. But we could see them, package it in some sort of deal with Columbus, potentially, solving the goaltender position, getting a prospect or other trade or other picks along, coming back. But overall, I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up getting another pick, though, like you're saying, Duane, whether it's them moving up with 13 or them getting another pick as a part of another deal tonight. I could really see them, ending up picking at least twice. I think that's like if you're setting an over-under, how many picks the Sabres are going to have tonight, you're probably setting it at 2.5, because whether they make 13 or not, they're probably, like you said, either packaging it or using some other sort of deal. So I don't know about you, Sean.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't see Columbus moving 5 just because they have such a big need for center, and they're going through their own rebuild now. I think Mason McTavish is the guy there, especially since he's a center, and that's what they need so badly. So unless they all of a sudden really desired Reinhart, or they really wanted to jump into the Eichel bidding, I don't see them making a move there. But Anaheim at 3, pretty good chance. I don't know where New Jersey's at. Maybe New Jersey's looking to make some more of a splash, but they've been rebuilding for a while as well. I could see. I think Eklund will be a Sabre, whether they take him first overall or they trade up to try to get another potentially top 3 pick. Like Duane and I were talking about before you jumped on, was we think Eklund's going to be a top 3 pick. Like it's kind of Power, Beniers, Eklund, pick your order as far as what we can see. It's going to be a weird draft. Like I think forget almost everything that you think you know about the top 9 and the top 10 order, because this is going to be a circus, right? Like we're going to see somebody reach for Jesper Wallstedt and probably pick him in the top 10. We're going to see brackets or mock drafts being just obliterated. Probably
somebody always reaches and goes off the board in the top 10. It happens every year. Somebody always goes off the board in the top 10. Well,
and Detroit's right there, right? Detroit is is well known for they like Stevie a guy, they take their guy, right? They took Moritz Seider. Not many people were super high on him at the time. It was a great pick, but at the time it looked like a reach. And who's to say they don't do it again in a draft like this where it's so wide open? You know, I've seen Stevie did an interview and he was like, well, who do you think's going to go number 1? He was asking the reporters, right? And they're like, well, Power probably. And he's like, okay, I'll take your word for it. Right. Like he's like, he was like, anything could happen. And I was like,
that's a good thing where you're trying to get the information out of them. Cause you're, as a GM, I hope you're not paying attention to all the, speculation out there, just paying attention to your draft boards. You don't care how the media and everyone else has people ranked. You don't care, what Dwayne's mock draft looks like. What you care about is, how you got your prospects ranked and how it's going to fall out in the draft and making sure you get the best talent available.
That's the thing. You pay your scouts to make a list, right? So like, sure, you could go look at Bob McKenzie's list for probably a bit of an insider scoop on what the rest of the league is valuing players at, but you pay your guys to make a list, right? So,
we only have a couple here in Buffalo. We don't have a lot, so
yeah. So maybe you are looking at Bob McKenzie's.
Yeah, list. It might be. They might be like they might get into a debate. They can't come to an agreement. It's like, well, let's go look at Bob's list.
Yeah, who's next on Bob's list?
Yeah, it's like going auto draft and fantasy draft. Like, I forgot the draft was tonight. Auto draft just takes whoever's best available,
right?
Baby.
Yeah,
That's perfect. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, again, man, like Stevie Y too. That trade they made for Nedeljkovic, that blew my mind.
Carolina,
to get a franchise type goaltender for a 3rd round pick. I mean, I'm not even talking about Bernier. That's just he's garbage. But like,
well, he's a UFA.
Yeah, but like that's just a throw in. But like, what? Like a 3rd round pick for a guy who was, almost rookie of the year.
The only goalie now under contract in Carolina makes less than $900,000.
Yeah.
And he was like a 5th string goalie in their system. So Carolina is going to be interesting to watch for goaltenders. So, I mean, cause they got to start.
I mean, they've had pretty much everything else there the past few seasons. And it seems like goaltending is the one thing that lets them down, in the biggest moments. And that's the problem.
It's true.
That too.
He
was on waivers and cleared.
He was, which is wild, man. He was one point he was the 3rd string goalie, and now under the Stevie Y's tutelage, and possibly on his way to making playoff runs, because that team is honestly. I mean, you look at Tampa Bay. That was built by Steve Yzerman. That whole franchise was built by Steve Yzerman. And now he's looking to do the same exact thing.
He's doing what I do when I play like GM mode. I make my team so good that I end up not being able to re-sign everyone. Then I'm like, this isn't fun anymore. So then I go to a bad team who has a ton of cap space and then I sign all those guys in free agency.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
And rebuild.
Well, he's got so much cap, right? Like he's got almost $50 million in cap space. He could do pretty much anything he wants, right?
Yeah.
So
that's the tough part, though. Like, no one really good has been going to UFA the past few seasons. Not guys where you want to be throwing 6, 7, 8 million plus to, you're not really going to get that return on value. So hopefully, for his sake, a couple of these guys can reach, or else maybe you're looking at having to throw out an RFA offer.
Or are you looking at, Gabriel Landeskog? Are you looking at Dougie Hamilton? Guys that this year is kind of a weird year where some of those guys are actually going to make it to free agency. And the other part too is that the assets that he can acquire by taking on picks or bad contracts rather, like to go help out his old team in Tampa, say, I'll take Tyler Johnson off your hands, but it's going to cost you Cal Foote to do it, or first to do it.
Yeah.
Like he ends up with a good player that he likes for a contract that they can't afford, and he gets an asset.
I love this comment from a viewer in Vancouver, Stephanie at Pegnificent. I'm assuming you might know her, Sean.
Yes.
Tell her to float me a follow because I'm following her, but she ain't following me back. It's kind of
there
rude.
You go.
But she said it's kind of funny. She goes, "Okay, mustache crew, can we put a stop to this madness? None of you are Ted Lasso."
I was growing my mustache before Ted Lasso was a thing.
He's the Pringle man.
Mustache is fantastic.
Yeah,
you came on and instantly beat me by a landslide. So
I just grow a beard, man. I don't have a mustache. Like a mustache separates right here.
Gotta be.
Mine connects.
Yes. Yeah, I have a mustache. You have a mustache.
Yeah, that is a mustache. That is in fact a mustache.
That is the mustache.
That is the mustache in Western New York. Well, Buffalo right there. You'd be hard pressed to find a better mustache in Buffalo than what Ty B is sporting.
Anywhere. I don't know. I might have seen maybe 2 mustaches in my lifetime that rival that.
Yeah, I might have to have a mustache competition in Buffalo just so I can crown myself champion.
You just make yourself the curator and the judge.
It has to also be like a buffalo wing eating contest as well.
That's the only bad part about the mustache being this long is eating wings. Because the sauce and the blue cheese gets in it.
Yeah. Man, guys, I woke up.
So then you gotta wipe it after every
bite. Yeah.
Yeah.
I woke up so kind of depressed this morning after I forget who it was. Jimmy Hayes out of Minnesota tweeted that, expect a Eichel trade tomorrow. I'm just thinking oh, come on, man. I don't want this day to come. And then we just get hit with this blockbuster Rasmus Ristolainen deal. Oh my God. Remember Gostad got traded for a first. So I guess anything's possible, but never in a million years I thought Rasmus Ristolainen would have been dealt for a second round pick. You
never know when someone gets a general manager on the phone who's drunk at the lake. And, he just made
a July day. Yeah, hanging out at the cabin.
Kids are getting out of hand. He's yelling.
He's feeling good. Sun's beating down on him. He's been in the sun
just
for
got
4 hours.
Boat.
Yeah. Little punch drunk from the sun and the bevies.
Oh, absolutely. So I can't wait for tonight. This just makes me much, much more excited for tonight. I don't think this is the last move Buffalo makes. And if there is another move, we'll hop in live again, or at least I will. Give you guys our live reactions, and again, I'm just blown away. It finally happened. Took way too long, but it finally happened.
And I'll say too, if you guys keep 13th, there's some really good players there too, right? You can end up with a Cole Sillinger, you could end up with a Coronado. I don't know if McTavish will be around. I think he's going to go earlier. Fabian Lysell.
Yeah.
There's some good players that are going to be there, and depending on the reaches that happen in the top 10,
there'll be reaches.
Somebody's going to slide, right? And they're going to keep sliding. I remember a few years back, Oliver Wahlstrom went 13th, did he not? And I had him 5th on my board. So, it could be worth hanging on to
Cole Caulfield. Look how far Cole Caulfield felt.
Yeah, 15th, right? It's gonna be fun. You guys are gonna get 2 good players by the end 100%. Of this.
I'm excited.
If you do nothing else.
I'm excited. But hey guys, this has been episode 69 of 2 Goalies, 1 Mike. Thanks to Ty B and Sean Warren from the Point Shot Podcast in Vancouver. Check them out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Great show, great group of people. And this has been brought to you by Outlet Liquor, the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? And, the draft, was it 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock start tonight? I forget. Just hours away.
8 o'clock your time, 5 my time.
Yeah.
Okay, so 8 o'clock our time. I'm excited. So my dog is losing his mind outside. I should let him out or let him in. Sorry. But this has been episode 69 of Two Goalies, One Mic. Maybe we'll catch you later tonight. If not, I'll talk to you next week. See ya.